Welcome back to CI Live. The Kansas Jayhawks appeared well on their way to a top seed in the tourney until suffering a highly unusual three-game losing streak. Here to discuss the status of the program, we go right to the source, head coach Bill Self. Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll talk about that losing streak in a moment. First, I want to ask you to make some comparisons of the team you have now and the team that won it all in 2008, or even the team that went to the Final Four last year.
Well, I don't know if it's really fair to compare teams with 7 NBA players to a team that that is just got a bunch of nice, good college basketball players that are trying to figure it out. We do have one guy that's a superstar though, potentially, in m-baskbl, but it's totally different. The teams are night and day different. Of course, college basketball, the landscape's a little different now, and I love this team. Don't get me wrong, but that team in 08 was different, and we haven't had one around here like that one. Even though last year's team went to the championship game, that team in 08 was a team that had all the pieces most every night. You mentioned m-baskbl. Another player that gives you big minutes is Jeff Withey. He's averaging just over 13 points per game. Just became the Big 12's all-time leader in block shots. What's more valuable to your team, Coach, his play on offense or defense? I would probably say defensively, because he changes game plans. I mean, people attack us differently in large part when Jeff's in the game, or their game plan is to try to attack us differently. And he's the best that I've ever been around. Of course, I haven't been around that long or had that many natural shot blockers, but he's the best that I've seen at blocking or altering and changing the game inside. And he certainly makes up for a lot of mistakes that others make.
Coach, you mentioned you were 19-1 when you went into that three-game losing streak. Did the adversity there, you think, benefit your team on the other side of that? And how do you feel about your team right now?
I like our team. We've had, since then we've beaten a really good K-State team that was in the top 10 at the time. At home, and then on game day we played Texas and played with a lot of energy and played well. But we're a team that's going to have to play well each and every night. I mean, if we don't play well, there's a great chance we're not going to be successful. And our league is although it hasn't got the props that maybe it has in recent years, but it's kind of emerged as a team. Hey, we get 6 teams in the tournament out of 10. I mean, there won't be very many leagues get 60% of their teams in the tournament like that. You touched on the tournament. Great segue to the next question. Let's fast forward to Selection Sunday for our viewer Twitter question of the day. This came from Rock Chalk Hawks 4. They ask, why will Kansas be a #1 seed this year? Coach, any thoughts on the type of seed you expect? No, not really. I've started looking at it the last week or so on how other teams match up and RPI and rankings and key wins a little bit. We've done some nice things. I think we got 8 wins against the top 50 in the country, which I think is more than anybody else, and I think our wins against the top 100 are tied for the most wins against that anybody has. But we had a week where we weren't very good, so I don't think we're in discussion for being a top seed at all right now.
Sounds like you've done your study and you're quite a student of the process here in terms of seeding. So we'll ask you, since you have taken a little bit of a look at the RPI and some of the other elements that go into the NCAA tournament and the selections, give us maybe your top 4 seeds if you were to pick them today.
The most impressive teams to me so far have been Indiana, have been Michigan, have been maybe Florida, and maybe Gonzaga so far. But Michigan State's as hot as anybody in America right now, and there could be a team that's ranked 13th in the country that could run the table and come up and be a 1 seed. So I don't know. I really don't have a top 4, but I do think there's 13 to 14 to 15 schools in there that are all vying for those top 1 and 2 seeds.
All right, Coach, stuff for fans to be excited about, but I think some coaches toss and turn and lose a little sleep at night. Jayhawks coach Bill Self, really appreciate you joining us here on CI Live. Best of luck to you the rest of the season.